let go of the past, and manifest the reality you desire. It's time to expand your consciousness and create a new enlightened transformational you by raising your vibrational frequency. We will talk about ETs, light ships, the ascending human, our ascending planet, visitations, and first conscious contact upon our new fifth dimensional Earth. Welcome to Universal Unity, New Earth Consciousness. It's time to activate a better you by embracing the white light of Source. Now your host and universal guide, Joanna L. Ross.
Good morning. This is Joanna from Universal Unity and Universal Light Wisdom and Healing Centers. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Welcome to 2018. What an incredible energy that we are starting off with. And I thought some of our topics today, we have a beautiful special guest with us today, but we're going to talk about some of the Ascension energy updates because it's really important. Everybody that I've been connecting with, everything that I've been going through personally, it seems as if we've made a really big shift, and I wanted to talk about the shift. I wanted to talk about these energy updates, and what it feels like for me is truly an acceleration of love light. It feels like an acceleration of all that we're shifting within has really been kind of amped up for us to create greater refined choice. As we've said before, many of the cycles that we're being blessed and offered with are due to tremendous unconditional love from the divine heavenly councils and the divine heavenly orders, Mother, Father, God, for the advancement, for the evolution of the divine humankind. And so in all of these love light blessings, the light encodations that we're being gifted and that we're being offered in every moment is allowing us to dig deeper within and provide us with our own soul divine song, all that we are as divine heavenly beings, all that we are as universal multidimensional beings, and how we go about choosing moment for moment a more refined way of living that truly suits our authentic soul song, our authentic God song. And I've really felt in my own personal path over the last month, just because it's also been the holidays as well, and it's always the busiest time of year for us as a family. Because of all my kids' birthdays in that 40-day window, if you will, and Christmas and all of the events that go on at Christmas. So it really takes a lot of perseverance and a lot of dedication to truly ground within stillness and silence and create that centeredness. And so these energies for me have really felt like a profound acceleration. And I felt these similar accelerations in I think it was March when we had that last grid adjustment and the celestial and the crystalline grids were shifted into a new dimensional potential and opportunity for humanity to create within. And I feel those similar sensations of symptomologies. We talked about them in March, but just to refresh your memory, the grid shifts and these profound energetic shifts and the merging with your sacred triad, the merging with your sacred monad, that being that sits upon the other side that is there to lift you up into those dimensional frequencies. They truly feel as if you're reinventing yourself anew. They truly feel as if you're asking within the deepest part of all that you are as these layers upon layers get refined and recalibrated and redefined. Who am I? And it's felt more of this more recently than ever before, because we're reaching a point in which there really is no second guessing anymore about the path that we walk, and it truly is the depth of surety you have with oneself. And that came through to me this morning as I was preparing for the show, and I was entangling with my teams and I was entangling with my higher self, because there's been so much, it feels as if there's been so much push and pull of energies and redefining who I am and what my excitements and my desires and purposes are, along with having that one toe in the water of the kind of old world energy, if you will, meaning that the obligations and the duties and the responsibilities that so many people are entrenched within that treadmill life, if you will, but truly wanting to step forth in an undefinable arena. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The acceleration of love light allows us to truly open up within all that we are and surrender into the undefinable arena. For we don't know what's around the corner. We don't know what's in the next moment. But we can allow ourselves a sense of faith, a sense of inner trust and unconditional love that all is well, and that we are here where we are. We've allowed ourselves enough skills in the myriad of earthly lifetimes, all occurring right here, right now, for us to be at this point of self-awareness and self-surety, to know that in this now moment, I surrender into my self-love, I surrender in all that I am, and I know that as I do so, all will be gifted and blessed in that surety, in that knowingness of walking in light, of being in light. Allowing yourself to expand within what multidimensional communications and what multidimensional expansiveness means to you in any given moment, because it's shifting and changing. As we merge with our sacred triad, as we merge with the sacred monad, that sacred being, that divine complement, that essence of you that allows you to transcend the physicality and the limitations that we've existed within, as you heal and clear and release, allowing you to step within new dimensional potentials, and that sacred monad and those teams assist you in that. But it takes within our own unique free will, our own unique will and intent, our own unique authenticity and our desires and our excitements to truly claim and create our own unique stamp within creation about who we are. Through those refined choices and actions, through those refined incentives that we feel within, spiraling within as we do refine and clear and heal, then those teams are refining and creating those choices and assisting us with our higher selves in presenting us with new tests, in presenting us with new soul versions of us to see ourselves in new perspectives. And truly that's what life is about anyways, isn't it? Anyone that we come across or crosses our paths, we're constantly in a state of change, we're constantly in a state of evolution, and we're calling forth those vibrations to present themselves to us based on any one moment that we're giving ourselves the new vibrational perspective of who we are, what we exist within, and what exists within us, allowing us to ever expand within the depths of all that we are, the eternal state, the eternal isness, the allness, our God presence, transcending all religions and paradigms and dogmas that we've allowed those things to be defined within and under. And we're truly letting go of all definitions. And yet it still feels a bit uncomfortable because we're not necessarily aware of that unknown factor, that unknown shape of what may be or become. And that's what I've been moving through, is these moments of profound unsureties. And yet I'm sure in so much of my love for energy and my love for Gaia, my love for creation, my love for Mother, Father, God, and my love for my teaching and my love for the allowance of exploring these things with my kids and my family. And those things are sure and those things are known. And I soak within the love of that in any given moment, that those frequencies of unknowing and not sure and fear, or those, not really fear, but those anxiety moments that ripple through the fields to say, you're going through a big shift right now. Who are you in this now moment? And can you let the rest go? And really, that's what we are stepping into. The ones that have been on the path for a while, the ones that are truly devoted and making the commitment to walk within their light, to truly move within these new waters of dynamic light frequencies and the light accelerations that were being offered from the divine. And it felt very similar last March, when it felt as if the grids had shifted. And I felt when the grids shift in a profound way, and the dimensional threading shift in a profound way, whether it's through a profound Akashic release, or whether it's through a vibrational reworking and recalibration. For me, it feels as if I have to re-anchor who I am in my light body. I have to re-anchor who I am in my physical body. And I have to move about what I do in a different new way. It feels as if the meditation that I did before doesn't feel comfortable anymore. How I was going about it, or the purpose, the processes, if you will, that I was doing before doesn't. It just feels a bit awkward. And so I'm having to reinvent new processes. I'm having to reinvent new ways that I move about, new ways that I perceive myself, new ways that I can imagine in the moment, and truly jump and leap in faith. And really, that's the crux of these new energies. Reinventing yourself in every moment, because you are an accelerating light being now in human form, stepping into veils of unknown. And there's certain aspects of these ascension rides and these ascension journeys and the journey of you, the soulful journey of you, the soulful loving elixir of you, the beautiful divine, loving Mother, Father, God essence of you in human form that's here to create an authentic version of you. There will be aspects that will be unknown. There will be aspects and hintings that your multidimensional fields, your higher self and your teams and Mother, Father, God, gift you in synchronicity, gift you in energetic cues and symbols. And the telepathic communication that happens and occurs in these grand dimensional shifts and accelerations. And with these recent changes, the telepathic communication and the cues and the symbologies that I've been receiving are somewhat different. And it's again, feels awkward, and I'm having to get used to something totally new. I feel as if there's been a really big, profound recalibration in many of the synapses and many of the rewirings in my brain, where I'm looking at something and I know it and I see it as familiar, but the words are not coming to me. But there's multidimensional communications about it going on without me saying anything. So it's as if my grander version of me wants to move more and more into telepathy and into that multidimensional communication as opposed to verbally speaking, which for me feels. Sometimes when I'm speaking, I can't quite get the words, or it feels slow or obstructed, because there's the emotions and the multidimensional bodies that are sorting themselves out with these recalibrations. And so it's the allowance and it's the surrendering into all of these beautiful, loving energies that can truly allow that leap of faith and that excitement and that joy to be that innocent child that truly leaps through those veils of unknown and those transparency offerings that just beyond that veil. And we're not to know what's on that other side, because that's the surprise, that's the blessing, that's the gift. That's the celebration in which all of our beautiful celestial archangelic teams and our sacred triads and our beautiful beings that have assisted us for so very long in so many earthly lifetimes, and we've played the roles back and forth for one another. But it truly is that beautiful surprise and that celebration that will occur when we've created those moments of such profound surety of self-love and God love within, that all moments are childlike moments and leaps of faith into exploration, into the divine. And that's truly how I've allowed myself, and I said it's moment for moment, it's a realignment and it's a readjustment to that childlike innocence, to that childlike play. And what's most exciting in my moment for now, play, and all the rest can be released. Or redefined or realigned into something that now suits you. Perhaps you may do it in a different way that is more exciting for you. For instance, cooking. How can cooking be introduced or reintroduced or realigned into a fun and more organic and healthy way? Or how can the communication about food be done in a more healthy and organic and balanced way? So allow yourself to go about these things with playful, sacred joy and sacred communion with all that you're soaking yourself within, and all those that are choosing to soak themselves within your moment for moment play. And these profound energetic shifts and these profound accelerations of love light, which they are called light encodations, we've talked about that before in our shows, and the divine light offerings from our central source, from our central sun, gifted down within the central sun of all that we are, and Mother, Father, God, within the Vesica Pisces of what we exist within, that exists within our divine sacred heart. That partnership so sacred. And when we allow the higher mind of all that we are to drop within that sacred heart, that's that oneness, that's that similitude, that marriage in which all is well in all moments. And so allowing yourself to create those moments of stillness and dropping to your heart with your sacred mind, and knowing that all is in alignment, all is well, all is in perfection and divine timing as these profound shifts move about. Because there will be those moments of reintegration, if you will, of expanded consciousness. And that's what it feels like right now for me, as I'm being reintegrated into an expanded form of consciousness in which I'm sensing telepathic and energetic communications going on. And yet my reality is unfolding within me, and I'm having to choose in that moment my vibration so that I can reintegrate myself and reassimilate, if you will. And choosing that vibration in the moment. In this moment, I choose light, I choose love, and in this moment, I release all else. Right now, I choose love, I choose light. And allowing that moment for moment rebalancing. And of course, sacred play and innocence and that dynamic excitement of being the God child that you are is truly the easiest way to realign. I mean, it truly is. Because as we've said so many times, as the Akashic releases come to us and are offered to us by our sacred teams, by your higher self and the sacred triads, as they're offered to us, they're allowing us to see not only all of that we are and all of the thought patterns and the beliefs that we've ever held about every reality that we've ever been in the earthly form, if you will. And we're here to allow it to be loved and made whole as it's released back into the cosmic soup to have its own journey and its reintegration of your vast self. Because remember, as you heal a limiting belief, as you heal a limiting thought about yourself, as you heal these aspects of you that were fearful about coming forward about your excitement, all of those aspect particles of self, those crystallized perspectives of you, become that new grander, vaster version of you. That's that realigned self of you in which your frequencies are recalibrated into an expanded sense, an expanded state. Therefore, swimming within the cosmic soup within the all in new vibrational ways. For we've talked about that many times, about the quantum equation of ascension. And there's usually those things that come forward that are the catalysts, which we could refer to, and we can create the analogy of those Akashic releases. Those are those catalytic moments that say, what do you choose to believe in this now moment? You swimming within the quantum soup of the all is that quantum bedding that's ever shifting and changing. Because each and every person and being in existence is also within that quantum soup, shifting and changing. And the more sure that you are about who you are as a divine living being of Mother, Father, God, eternal in your essence, eternal in your state of creativity, eternal in your state of freedom of choice and freedom of will to create in this now moment, to create the authenticity and the beautiful voice that you have to sing your song fully, allows that quantum exchange to shift and change, in which you transcend whatever that catalyst was that came forward. And that rippling quantum bedding that you exist within, therefore, changes, as so do you. And therefore, so too does all of the past moments, if you will, or the past lifetimes, if you will, and why we say that you're healing all past lifetimes in every moment that you transcend within the love of all that you are. And these are quantum ways of saying what's truly happening within this reality of quantum love and these accelerated blessings that we're being gifted. And every aspect of life is being affected by it. And why we will see many of the relationships that we have coexisted within and co-created with one another, as well as many of the patterns of our walking about life, how we treat ourselves, how we treat one another, how we move about with our bodies. All of these aspects are shifting and changing. And why there will be moments to seem to be chaotic or out of balance, if you will, as we bring in a new belief or we look within ourselves to say, what am I missing that's not in balance? And how can I recenter and ground within new beliefs about who I am and how important it is for me to center and be still? How important it is for me to allow my voice to be heard and allow my wishes to be met. And that's that constant state of rebalancing of the multidimensional bodies that we talk about in every show, in which your etheric field, your physical field, your emotional field, your mental field, all of those lower four bodies are moving through their own sense of recalibration through the acceleration of love light. And in any given moment, you're being tested in any given way. Where are you in your now moment of opening your heart and truly loving all that you are? And anchoring and centering within that new state resonance. Are you allowing to know that you're unconditionally loved by you first? Therefore allowing you to expand and extend yourself in all ways, in all directions, to all beings, without any limitation of feeling lack of, or lack of energy, or lack of vitality, because you've gifted that out. And those are the old paradigm thought patterns that we're now releasing and letting go of. For as you understand the divine inner temple that you exist within, the chakra systems, the pillar of light, the unconditional and limitless energy that can flow through you, through your vessel, through your temple, there's always an eternal, limitless state of energy. Because it's you as God. You are the eternal temple of light. You are the eternal flow of breath. You are the eternal flow of color. You are the eternal flow of love. However, it does take greater commitment and devotion to allow yourself those moments in which you can still and recenter and ground and breathe and know and dream and create. For the accelerated light energies will allow us the greater giftings of creativity and greater giftings of energetic promise when we allow ourselves and gift ourselves the time to do so. And let go of all of those other aspects that have kept us distracted. And that truly is choosing to let go of distraction. We're shifting realities, and those choices are going to feel uncomfortable within when you're not within that moment of silence and truth and stillness. There will still be those shaking about and those realignments and those reintegrations, but there will always be that moment in which, yeah, this feels good. I've got it now. I'm feeling as if I'm flowing with more expanded energy, more expanded me. I can feel this. And in those moments when you're not, it feels uncomfortable. It feels as if you're not living within your truth, or you're giving others more time than you're giving yourself. And I'm speaking of this because I know it. I've experienced all aspects of it, and it's been uncomfortable. It's been uncomfortable to sense myself out of sorts. It's been uncomfortable to sense myself not centered within the expanding energies that I've allowed myself to grow within. And it's a matter of choosing, well, what is more important for me, and where are my choices, and where are my time and my energy going? And how can I redefine and realign? Because the imbalances is everything that we teach within the divine inner tempo. And how quick and easy it is for us to realign in any one moment that we feel out of sorts, or that we feel as if we're stepping into the unknown, and those anxiety moments come forward. Because they're coming forward for a reason. Those are those momentary tests of quantum energy. As you grow within your quantum allness, your quantum God self, your light body self, are you allowing yourself the knowingness that you are designing all things that unfold to you, so that you may transcend and know and step within a new surety that, yeah, I know what I'm doing, all is well. I got this. I'm going to soak within something new here. I'm going to allow myself to realign, to redefine. I'm sensing greater communication with my team. I'm sensing greater communications with Gaia. I'm sensing the telepathy that occurs between when I'm out in the forest and when I'm with the land and when I'm with the water. And so many of you, with these accelerations of love light, allow yourself to feel a different way of sensing what you know. And it feels differently because it's for me, it feels like a telepathic webbing. We've talked about before the multidimensional, intergalactic, and cosmic webbing that we exist within. It's electromagnetic. And how I feel it usually sits behind my ears, these multidimensional, cosmic downloads, if you will. And those are what I feel has been a big shift lately in the pineal gland and the mouth of God that sits at the back of the base of the skull, and how you emanate and the energy flows through you, and how you're allowing it to move through you and gifting it back out with unconditional love. So all of these processes and these allowances and these surrenders into that recalibration moment for moment, we're being recalibrated, allowing you to sense information in a new way, and then have it live through you in new ways. And that's what I'm really sensing. And so if you take anything away from today, it will not only be the profundity of these new energies that we're soaking within, and how truly exciting it is to be the child of God again and just be excited to play. Part of that play is how you communicate what you're sensing. Because that's truly how I see and how I sense our new potential reality, or the human potentiality shifting and change in the most biggest way. Not only will we have the remembrance of the importance of the beautiful Gaia energies and the elementals and the elemental consciousness and the intelligence of water and the intelligence of land and all of these intelligences and the consciousness bedding that we exist within, not only will those be the most profound discoveries and remembrances that many will have in their multidimensional awakenings, their God awakenings of isness, of allness, because you'll remember them from other lifetimes, from other star systems. But you're bringing them here in this now moment in a new way. You're allowing to transcend all of what was, say, in an ancient modality that you practiced within, in the ancient temples of Egypt, but you're going to add a new spin on it because you're a new you. You're allowing all that those lifetimes had taught you, teaching you in this now moment on concurrent earths, but you're allowing it to move through you in new, profound, dynamic human ways. And this is something so utterly profound and new that it's undefinable. And I'm saying it from experience. I've allowed myself to understand the Egyptian lifetimes that I've had in the healing temples and the tonal excitement when I love to tone and I love to be with nature and to create that communion with nature through sound, through presence of stillness and silence with Gaia. And then to sing my joy with her, and then to sing whatever it is I'm feeling, and however those sounds come out, because I understand that there's many beings of consciousness listening. There's many beings of consciousness that I've come here with my soul threadings entangled with, and the soul stories I've entangled with, and I understand at a much higher level that I'm able to put into verbal words, into human words, that I'm threaded with a myriad of bandwidths. And we talked about bandwidths last week in our show. How about bandwidths are vibrational threads strung together that create collective energies, collective knowings, if you will. And I understand that when I'm in nature, I'm threaded with many bandwidths, and I can feel the threads. When I'm singing, I can sense something, and I can feel something, or I can feel something being downloaded, and I'll receive it later when I'm soft and quiet and ready to open up to new information, or ready to seek new information. But there are those moments where I just want to play and I just want to make sound. And those are my moments in which energy lives through me as my gift, as well as I'm receiving, but more through it's me gifting to creation and allowing God to live through me in that way. I have those beautiful experiences with Gaia. I feel refreshed, I feel renewed, I feel me, I feel like my dynamic whole God self. And then I go about my day, and then a couple hours later I sit down and I want to explore something new, and I open up a book and I start to seek new information. I often find that in those moments, those downloads of information from my multidimensional fields come through me, and I begin to write. And the information flows through me in different ways. And so these new potentialities of these new accelerated love of light, have it be okay, and have it be fun, and have it be childlike and playful, in which you allow yourself to communicate in new ways, and have it live through you in new ways, and have it be fluidic and comfortable, that you'll get the downloads when you're ready to do that seeking. Because that's the cycle of evolution. There are moments in which we are ready to open to new information, and we do that inner seeking, we do those inner questionings, we sit down with spirit and we ask, or we open up a new book and we ask questions in that way. We talk to our guides and we ask for validation through our everyday communions. And we seek within our higher selves. That's that seeking part that allows us to investigate, to explore and examine all that we are, all that we live within, all that lives within us. Then there's those moments of sacred play where you're out in your community, you're out within your sacred soul tribe, you're out within your family, and you're merely allowing the love of God and all that you are to live through you in a quite divinely open way. There's no real intent, there's no real purpose or expectation. It's just an open, loving flow. May the divine in me entangle with the divine in you. We're co-creating, we're communing. We're creating a beautiful love light dance, and we're accelerating within one another as we do so, for it's allowing on all ways. You're still gaining information, you're still gifting information, you're still receiving information in those open and allowing moments, for the all is the all. Then there will be those moments where you sit back within your beautiful self-examination and self-exploration and self-honor and self-embrace, your self-acceptance of thyself as you grow in every moment. And you soak within the divine sacred heart of all that you are, and you come within that beautiful sacred relationship of Mother, Father, God within you. You say, wow, I'm so grateful and I'm so honored to be in this experience, and look what I've experienced today, and I'm just really grateful to be in this moment. For remember, gratitude and joy and appreciation open up the portals of that existential, that experiential godlike moments in which you experience yourself through Mother, Father, God. And this is what's most profound in the way that we're shifting and changing how we communicate, because we're shifting from what I sense, and these accelerated energies are showing us, as they're allowing me to remember within my own story. We're moving from an understanding, from a conceptual understanding, in that throughout our many years of awakening and enlightenment, it has been, dear lighted ones, the intellectual journey. In many ways, is it not? And this intellectual journey has served us well. But at some point in every path, it must become experiential, in which that God aspect of you must be experienced. And there are certain ways to experience it. And it's when you get out of the mind, drop to the divine sacred heart, and you're allowing, and you're opening up in faith, unconditionally loving who you are, unconditionally trusting your path and what you've created for yourself, unconditionally trusting those that have stayed the course with you and are excited to be with you in the journey and are excited and empowering you along the way and inspiring you along the way. And you're just trusting in the path that will unfold, will be the best and highest for all involved, because you're a part of it. And in those moments of unconditional trust and unconditional faith, in which every step that you walk with and every breath that you breathe, you're activating your divine sacred God breath, and you're centering and grounding within all that you are. And there will be those moments in which the experience of God will be felt within you. And that is how I see awakening and ascension shifting from the intellectual journey of awakening into an experiential. I mean, it's always been experiential. But when we say experiential, we mean those moments in which every cell within your body has been awakened to that God vibration within. And you feel it. And it's undefinable. It's unexplainable. And you're in tears, and you're in those moments of complete and utter divine joy of being you. And I speak in this way, dear lighted ones, for I have been in those moments of profound feeling of lack of who I am. And I've come forward as a part of who I am, as a part of who my unique Joanna gift is to creation. To not only be the voice of Mother, Father, God, and the Christed consciousness and the light body self. For I've gone through the experiences of having it be an intellectual journey, having it be a beautiful divine journey where things were unexplainable through the energetic frequencies and the energetic experiences I was having. But I was putting a lot together within my mind and figuring it out so many of the time. Until within the last few years, really, it's been completely and utterly experiential. Aside from that beautiful original awakening that I had when my daughter was born, when the angels of tone came to me. And that was an existential experience. It was, I felt as if I was levitating and profusively sweating all at the same time while I was talking to the heavens and my angels, and that beautiful self-awakening moment that I had with God in the myriad of gods that were mirroring themselves to me and myself within it. But I say this because those experiences of having it be an intellectual journey are going to return to the experience of God in all things, the experience and the allowance to be still with spirit, just to be still with spirit, and have no checklist or expectation or to-do list as to what it should mean or figuring it out. For there will be those moments in all paths in which we must bring ourselves to the stillness, just to be still. To have the silence be just silence. To create within yourself that void, that moment just before you're reborn. When we say the top of the inhale and the bottom of the exhale, those are those omnipresence, that's that void of creation. Just before thyself is birthed again. The top of the inhale, bottom of the exhale. Where no thought, no intention, no will of intent takes place. But your stillness just to be comfortable within the void. That's what's sometimes called the 0 point. And are you comfortable with it? Are you okay with it? For within all acceleration of love light, there is the void. There is that moment of stillness. There is that moment of pre-birth, pre-creation, in which the allness of you is purely in joy, being within the dark void, the silence. And it must be experienced. For within those moments of stillness and silence, God's here. Within you, just spiraling, awaiting your heartfelt connection. And in those moments in which you think there are void and nothing, and the silence overwhelms you, you're sensing in your being and you're feeling God in every way, ready to birth with you anew. A cycle of creation takes on a whole new vibration as it lives through you, dear light ones. Make no mistake about that. And how stillness is so very required for the rebirth. So very required for you to be that beautiful, innocent child, to be so excited to step forward and play once again in a brand new way. So that you may speak new words of love to thyself as you look at all that you are in the mirror every day. So that you hold yourself so very dear in the experiences that you've had and the roles that you have played. To know thyself as a master, to come forward in every new breath and begin a new cycle of love light. And within that you accelerate within it. For when acceleration is pure stillness, for when love is pure light, for when the silence is the pure song that you are, it will be felt in every way. And that is experiential God moments. Unexplainable, but so very real. Thank you, dear lighted ones, for allowing us to swim this way in new meanings of acceleration, in new meanings of love, light, in new meanings of loving thyself, in new meanings of who we are becoming as a human paradigm, and as we experience ourselves in new multidimensional ways, how we're allowing ourselves to expand in our communication in new multidimensional ways. And that's part of the symptomologies. That's part of the symptoms of ascension that many of us are experiencing, in which it will require you in all of the upgrades and the recalibrations that are moving within you as you're further deepening your merge with the many aspects of all that you are. Allowing yourself that moment to listen to your body and give it what it needs and give it what it's requesting of you, whether it's sleep and rest. For many of us are experiencing, momentary, hits of exhaustion when there's just so much going on and you just can't, just processing the information just cannot be done. So you just need to rest. And listening to your body when it's speaking with you in that way, listening to your body when it wants more water, listening to your body when it wants to talk with water. And that's really been something that's new for me, that's come up in the last, I guess, since I came back from Japan. But when I'm drinking water now, I'm sensing myself communicating with it as I drink it. And many of you have done this before you even drink it, and you're intending with your water. But understand that you can communicate with all things as you're moving through it in every moment. And just know that that's how fluid and liquid you are as light. And all things have intelligence, and you're moving within this liquid light blanket of intelligence. You're moving within this liquid light understanding of who you are and your ability to communicate with all consciousness, with all aspects of your excitement. And your body will speak to you in this way. And it will be in a way, what I've found out this last 2 weeks in particular, is and this is how it feels. It feels different from spirit guides speaking with you. And it feels different from anything that you've labeled outside of yourself speaking to you. But it will feel as if it's you speaking with you. And that's how it's shifted for me. It feels as if the grander aspect of me is speaking with me and voices and words and communions for me to get the message, for me to get the new information or the wisdom. And it comes to me in any moment. I'm just open and flowing. I'm moving with my life. And as I'm picking groceries, as I'm creating a meal, as I'm just about to fall asleep, is usually a big time when higher dimensional communication just flows in, or I'll get a vision or an image of something. Because I'm a visionary, it's how I understand things first, through the multidimensional perceptions of sight and visionary energies. And I'll get a vision of something or a word, and it will just tell a story to me. And that's what we talked about earlier this year, about our communication will be changing. And this is what I'm experiencing now. That conversation we had many months ago is now the experience that I'm experiencing right now, in which glyphs or symbols are telling stories. They always have been, but now we're at the point in which we've gone through so many recalibrations, we've gone through so many realignments and refinements within our DNA, within our RNA, within the multidimensional structures and the multidimensional fields of all that we exist within, that we're able to understand it and perceive it in new ways, perceive information in new ways, creating that telepathy with all things and all beings. Discerning is going to be really key, and how we discern what's coming into us. And that's where that stillness and silence will be very valuable. To discern what it means for you in that given moment, and then open your heart and act in love and joy. So we're moving about in new ways. We're creating true and honoring the discernment within us in any given moment of what it means, and what excitement you hold within this now moment, and how excited are you to move on that in this now moment. And if not, it'll come back around again. If it's truly that important and meant to be on your path, it'll come back around. But to know that your discernment, and to trust and listen, honor that self-discernment within, that intuitive sense and voice within you, because it's you. All of those aspects that we thought were outside of us, or that we defined outside of us as our celestial teams or our spirit guides or whatever we chose to call it and define it, they're crystallized aspects of us in various dimensional threads and vibrations. And we're seeing and feeling ourselves within these bandwidths in new ways. And that's the only way that I can explain it, because it just feels different. It feels liquid. It feels fluid. It feels malleable. It feels unstructured. It feels soft and loving. And the communications have always been here. We're just softening into hearing it now. We're not putting it in a box that it has to come to us in this way, or it has to be sent to us in a different way, or a unique way. But allowing those soft and gentle voices to be the words and the guidance from wisdom of you, for you, through you, because it is. It's you. And this is the experiential God essence that I'm speaking about. It's the embodiment. You're embodying yourself more as God. Every time you allow yourself to heal and bring in that essence of love, or bring in that essence of unconditionality, or bring in that essence of compassion, bring in that essence of your intelligence and your will being grounded in this now moment, to create that new essence of excitement for you. And writing that article, or creating that song or that tone, or entangling with children and allowing them to play and create in nature. Because this is why we are creating and allowing ourselves to soak within the communication refinements that we are, so that we can, as we talked about last week, create the foundations for understanding and beginning and embedding, if you will, the altruistic human energies, and understanding these beautiful crystalline children and indigo children and hybridized children that are coming forward to help and assist and serve Mother, Father, God, just as we did, just as we came forward and we cleared the way. And these children are going to come forward and clear the way, make no mistake about that. But we're setting the foundations vibrationally, if you will, and we're allowing ourselves to soak and swim within these new frequencies of accelerated light energies, of love, light, and patterns and encodations. And why we feel the need to just rest, or why we feel the need to, perhaps eat berries and nuts more, and move about in different ways, more softly with Gaia, and sit and be with Gaia for longer periods of time. And that's what I'm really urging my the urgency that I feel to be with Gaia, the necessity I feel to be with Gaia is overwhelming. And it's a lot of my energy and a lot of my experience is to be with Gaia, because I know that there's recalibrations and rebalancing and information, and it's that love of oneness that I have with her, and it recalibrates the whole multidimensional bodies. It brings into similitude and balance, and it's what I have as my portal to be with my children and teach my children through Gaia, because we enjoy those moments of experience and exploration. When we talk about Gaia, and we can communicate in ways that they sense it and feel it at an energetic level. We may not be explaining it in the words that to us appear to be three-dimensional, four-dimensional in our words that we're using as we explain things to our children. But if you're explaining it in the excitement of what you experienced, they are reading the energy in what you're experiencing, and they get it in a different way than what we're experiencing and we're explaining now. And so the children are here, so thank you. They're allowing me to be reminded, and how I've just explained that is accurate to the point. That when we're communicating with crystalline children, with our children, with all children, we're experiencing from what we've thought in all of our ways of life, and this is how we're shifting our dimensional understanding. We've thought to ourselves that when we just say the words, that's the level of experience and that's the level of communication that we have. But we all know that there's far more. There's multidimensional telepathy that's going on in all things. There's multidimensional communication, giving and receiving in all things. So when you're communicating the excitements that you have, as you explore your new passions, as you explore your new way to communicate, even though the words may not be there, they are sensing and they are reading the threads of vibration that you're emanating and you're emulating. And why we go back to the very importance of thought, word, and deed. And why you're in the vibration of all that you are in any given moment, and that's your realignment. Are you vibrating in the moment of love and excitement? Yes, I am, and all those feel, and it ripples out to the all. And those children, although you may not give them the words or the complete coloring or the description of what experience you had, but you're just expressing it in your joy, just to create new expressions, to create new dialogue, to create new God energy, to have it live through you. That alone and in and of itself is the glyph, is the story, is the energetic telepathic communication that is shifting and changing. And there's many of you that get this, because we can sense it. You're sensing how you communicate and how you emulate and how you illuminate yourself within the world. You're a basket of communication. You're a basket of light. You're a beautiful golden orb, oval, egg-shaped light. And you're communicating in all moments and all ways. And this is how we allow ourselves to know why there will be those that will be uncomfortable with your presence. There will be those that will be uneasy with your presence, because they're sensing it and feeling it, but they may not be ready to assimilate with it. And that's okay. That's that unconditional part of you that says, I'm your brother, I'm your sister. I'm here for you. If there's anything you need to know, just let me know. I'm here, unconditionally. And that's that altruistic heart that opens up. We're all brothers, we're all sisters, we're all here for light, we're all here for the beautiful remembrance of God. We just go about it in different ways, unique ways. But we're always eternal, we're always isness, we're always allness. We just have our own unique ways of perceiving it and living it and experiencing it and exploring it and examining it, as it should be. However, now we're going to soak within these actual experiences of, wow, that was unique. I've never experienced that before, and I'm allowing myself to interpret new ways and create new telepathic communications with nature, with Gaia, with water. And I'm sensing it. I can actually feel it move through me. So pay attention to your bodies. Pay attention to the multidimensional wisdoms and communications that are moving through you at all times. And this is going to be fun because we have a beautiful special guest coming up with us. Her name is Sue Walker, and she is a telepath. And she's working on many different levels in telepathy with different beings. And she's going to come to us today and connect with us about beings that she's worked with, as well as a beautiful passion of hers to bring forward the energies of the Sasquatch energies. And we call it Big Brother. And some of us have known Big Brother by the old paradigm understanding of governments, if you will, but that's not what we mean by Big Brother. What we mean by Big Brother is our beautiful brethren upon earth that take form of Sasquatch. And so she'll be coming with us today, and we're going to be talking with her and asking her some questions. And she's got some beautiful images that she's shared with Tina to be in the chat room there. And I will also share them later on in our Facebook. So in a few minutes, we're going to have our break. And when we come back, we're going to talk with Sue about not only her experiences with telepathy and how she's evolved in the whole human earthly experience and expanding within her telepathy, but how it also is important for our similitude and our awakening within our Gaia awareness, within our Gaia frequencies and love for Gaia, as well as the many beings that exist with Gaia, in communion with Gaia, in communion with the elementals and nature, and how it's an important role for each of us to take in our ambassadorship with opening up to our stewardship with Gaia, opening up to our stewardship with one another, our stewardship with preparing for first contact. And we've often said in many of our shows, in many of our books, in many of our teachings, that preparing for initial first contact with our celestial and our ET families and friends is first to create the preparedness and the beauty within all that we are, in all that we exist within, because we're communicating with our environments at all times. And our environments are communicating with us at all times. And so it's truly how we prepare for other expansive multidimensional ways of communicating with nature and the beings that are in nature that we've never experienced before. So we truly are stepping within beautiful accelerations of light language and light encodations that offer us a new view and a new perspective of who we are, what we exist within, and what exists within us. So, wow, what a profound and beautiful way to start 2018. So thank you to everyone that's joined us for this first hour. Tune in after the break as we welcome our beautiful guest and our beautiful telepath, Sue Walker. And we talk about, we'll talk about our beautiful brethren within nature, known as the Sasquatch, and more about multidimensional communication and telepathy.
You've been listening to Universal Unity, New Earth Consciousness, with Joanna L. Ross. Live every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. To explore, empower, understand, inspire, and further connect with this higher state of consciousness, please visit universalunity.ca. For more information on the host, Joanna L. Ross, please visit her KCOR Digital Radio Network show page, Universal Unity, New Earth Consciousness. This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network. Broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51. Wait, that doesn't exist. This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news. Let go of the past and manifest the reality you desire. It's time to expand your consciousness and create a new enlightened transformational you by raising your vibrational frequency. We will talk about ETs, light ships, the ascending human, our ascending planet, visitations, and first conscious contact upon our new fifth dimensional Earth. Welcome to Universal Unity, New Earth Consciousness. It's time to activate a better you by embracing the white light of Source. Now your host and universal guide, Joanna L. Ross.
Welcome back. This is Joanna from Universal Unity and Universal Light Wisdom and Healing Centers. And thank you so much for tuning in with us this beautiful first show of 2018 for understanding all that we are as multidimensional beings of light in human form, understanding all that we exist within, and what exists within us as beautiful holographic reality that we are now examining and exploring and expressing ourselves within, So my heartfelt gratitude and always the blessings that I gift each and every one of you that show up week after week after week to explore all that you are as a divine being of light, as a divine God child of light, and to gift yourself honor and self-acceptance and self-love as you explore those moments which it seems as if those Akashic triggers and those releases seem dark and unbearable. But just know that you're worthy of transcending, and you can transcend. That's why you've gifted it to yourself, and you know that the God love within you and the multidimensional person of all that you are is able to transcend all of those aspects of growth and evolution that you're showing yourself. So thank you once again for always tuning in to our delightful wisdoms that we share with the etheric chambers, standing by all the multidimensional beings from across the universe with us, our divine heavenly councils, the children, multidimensional children and hybridized children, and the hybrid collectives that we communicate with, the archangels, the Christ collective, the Ascended Masters, all of the beautiful energies that we have today. And today we have a special energy with us, and it's the Sasquatch energy. I've had experiences myself, even from in the 70s, I suppose, is when I first heard about the Sasquatch. I saw pictures. I lived in Victoria, BC, just up from the Washington state, just up from Seattle. And I later found out through, I think it was a channel that Bashar, Daryl Anka, had gifted many, many years ago about there being corridors and portals of multidimensional access points for these beings that can travel interdimensionally and create portals and know how to travel interdimensionally in that way. And so it was a portal of alignment, if you will, on the West Coast, and why we had heard about it in Victoria. Although Victoria is a very forested and very natural, Western Canada is, all of Canada is very, there's a density of forests everywhere. And so these Sasquatch beings, which are our brethren, our sisterin of earthly dynamic, and they're here with us in an evolutionary state capacity for us to understand more of who we are from our history, if you will. Also to understand Gaia in more expansive ways, to understand the consciousness through the elementals in different ways, and how we coexist, but are, more recently, if you will, coming aware of our coexistence within one another. I heard about the Sasquatch in the 70s, as I said, and when I saw those first pictures of that being walking along, I think it was a beach in somewhere in the Southwest, but it was a very famous picture, a very famous image of the Sasquatch walking along those beaches and imagery. And it's always been with me since that point. In my awakening and in my excitement to be with Gaia, I'm often aware of the energies that are around me because of my attunements that I've made and allowed myself to soak within. And I sense them with me when I'm on the property and on the sanctuary. And I've been interested for many, many months now, and I've been talking about having different explorations and examinings in these areas of our brethren of the Sasquatch that are with us. And I've connected with different people and different groups of people in the Sandia Mountain on the Twitter account at Sandia, if you will, and you'll come up with their Twitter vibration. And I've been following them we've been following one another for I think about a year and a half or 2 years now. And they also are off-world beings, but they're here on Earth. But they're also very bringing forward the energies of the Sasquatch and what they represent for humanity and what our story is with them. And one of the telepaths that works with this collective group that has brought this to my attention, the beautiful Sasquatch, and I've wanted to have a communication and an entanglement with these energies and with these beings to bring a greater awareness to the human family, a greater awareness to who we are within this Sasquatch story, and how we can begin sacred play when we go out within nature and we can understand the Sasquatch energy in a much more dynamic way. So today I have a beautiful special guest, Sue Walker, who is a telepath, and I've been synchronistically connected with her because of my interest in Sasquatch and because of my interest in the many archaeological glyphs and things that were presented on that Twitter account. But we wanted to specifically talk about today the Sasquatch energy. So I welcome Sue Walker. Sue Walker, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I surely appreciate you having me on.
And you and I were talking this morning, as well as we've exchanged many emails and many connections and texts about your involvement. And if you can give us an introduction about, who you are and what your excitements are with how you got involved with the Sasquatch energy and what your interpretation and your introduction in that energy was, and how that happened for you.
I can, and it's a bit of a convoluted story. I spent the vast majority of my life in the middle of the state of Iowa and didn't realize at the time that I had had a Sasquatch connection there until I pieced it together later. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until I came to New Mexico, mm-hmm. first to visit my boyfriend, and then later, a year ago, we got married. But when I first came in 2013, I hadn't even been in New Mexico in the Albuquerque area 10 days mm-hmm. when I was telepathically contacted mm-hmm. by an individual, and the voice came from within the Sandia Mountain. Mm-hmm. Now, I've been a professional clairvoyant and medical intuitive for more than 2.5 decades. And so experiencing contact with different kind of energies, either terrestrial here, mm-hmm. spirit energy, ghost, ancestor, elemental, that kind of energy was very familiar to me. Mm-hmm. I've been an ET experiencer since I was a very small girl. Mm-hmm. First experiences I can remember were about age 4. So when I heard this voice beneath the Sandia Mountain for the first time, it didn't take me very long to put 2 and 2 together and understand that I was dealing with somebody who was not a spirit, mm-hmm. was not a ghost, mm-hmm. was a real live person, mm-hmm. but wasn't from here. Mm-hmm. And so it took this individual a few months before I got a name and a location where he called home. Mm-hmm. After I was introduced to this individual, and I had, because the voice came from the mountain on the east edge of Albuquerque, that mountain's name is the Sandia Mountain. Mm-hmm. Sandia in Spanish means watermelon. And because the voice came from the mountain, I didn't have anything else to call it, and I was really tired of just calling it the voice from the mountain. And so I just nicknamed the voice Sandia. Mm-hmm. And the minute I did that, he piped up and he said, "Watermelon head, that'll work." And I just went, "What?" Because I realized I was dealing with somebody who had a bit of a sense of humor. And so with Sandia, or his real name is Tilcum, and I became friends. Mm-hmm. When he began introducing me to other members of his staff, because there is a facility, long-standing facility, beneath the Sandia Mountain, he also introduced me to the concept that their star nation, and they are from the 5th planet orbiting Zeta Reticuli 2, called Pontel, and they are the Ponti, and you can see images of them on Twitter. But the Ponti travel around the galaxy and explore with other star nations. There are friendships, there are alliances. And one of those, which surprised the heck out of me, was an alliance with the Sasquatch peoples, the big brothers and big sisters. And so it was through the Zeta Reticuli connection and the Ponti connection that I began to be taught, actually, more about the Sasquatch peoples here on Earth, how long they've been here, what their evolutionary stage is. Mm-hmm. And I was very, very politely corrected on a number of points. But it was the Zetas, the Ponti, that after they began teaching us telepathic instruction, asked us to please go to the internet and look up, and they gave us a name. Mm-hmm. It was an individual I'd never heard about. And they said, "We want you to contact this individual because you need to start teaching." And the individual they asked me to contact was Kuwani Lapsaritis, who, unbeknownst to me at the time, was organizing the first ever spiritual and psychic Sasquatch conference in Shawela, Washington. So the Zetas sent my spouse and I, after teaching us more about telepathy and asking us to teach telepathy at this conference, because many of the Sasquatch nations are telepathic peoples, that we began to become involved more with the Sasquatch peoples and with the researchers and with the furthering of understanding of what's really going on here. So that's kind of how it got started for us, becoming involved with the Sasquatch peoples and the researchers and the furthering of communication and understanding of them as a people, not as monsters, not as animals.
Yes. And so let's talk about the history of the Sasquatch, because I mean, I remember it as far back as the 70s, but I know that there's much older recognition of their presence. Can you talk a little bit about the history of them and how that has been possibly interpreted or misconstrued?
Yes, because my understanding comes straight from the indigenous peoples of North America. And so the history of the Sasquatch peoples, because there's more than one nation in North America, goes back to their interaction with the indigenous tribes of the Native Americans who resided here before the European folks came. So it goes back centuries and thousands of years. Different indigenous peoples refer to the Sasquatch nations using different terminology. It can translate to hairy man, wild man, big, tall, hairy tree, older brother, older sister, cousin, the night people, the howling people. So the different names mean different things. But the respect and acknowledgement of all of the different manner of what we refer to as woodben, Woodben. Woodben is a translation from the Sasquatch people for all of the indigenous sentient folk that live within Earth's forests. Okay.
And so you were saying earlier that you, from what you can understand, there's, close to probably under 200,000 worldwide, or is that changing?
I don't know
exactly
precisely how many, because I don't have a good head count of each of the different nations. But the population is higher than what you would expect it to be, because there are many clans that live in very, very remote locations where very few Earth humans live, in northern Canada, in Alaska, all across the northern part of Russia. Just about any place that you can find topography, water source, caves, food source, remoteness, and then the other unusual one is sulfur within the water or within the soil.
And so is that part of their requirement?
It is part of what keeps their immune system strong and helps them fight off all kinds of things. Also keeps their joints more fluid and helps everything about their function. But they do tend to prefer areas where sulfur is high in the soil and the water.
And so your the pictures that you've drawn, you've drawn these pictures of what you've has been given as your impressions, and also from what I understand, you've had contact with the Sasquatch.
Correct.
So my biggest excitement is to allow awakening and awareness to truly transcend old paradigms and old fears and limitations that we have about the depths of consciousness and the expansiveness of consciousness that exists around us, and to step into a more compassionate and unified front in understanding that these beings have the ability to not only interdimensionally travel, but they have the ability to to create that invisibility of themselves, so that we're just seeing the outline. So can you explain how that works and how how these are just their ways and their processes to
right.
observe
I can do as much as I can because I don't know all of it. But here's what I have been told and taught. You're dealing with at least many of the Sasquatch nations as what I understand is a multi-dimensional, meaning able to straddle the niche of our dimension as well as the niche of their dimension, and can at will shift and travel, step, if you will, from one to the other with great ease.
Yes.
And the analogy that I use is, we know creatures that live on the sand or in the beach. We know creatures that live in the woods. But when the beach meets the woods, we know creatures that could step from the woods right onto the beach and have no problem. Okay? Sasquatch are similar. They can step from their dimension into ours and back and forth, no problem, at will. When that crossing from one dimension to another happens, there can be a number of effects, if you will, that happen. You can see, you can hear pops of sound, you can see flashes of light. Sometimes you can see round circles of light that some people are referring to as orbs. Occasionally you will get an effect that's almost an energy surge, almost like not a tremor in the force per se, but almost a wave of something that makes your head turn, and you go, "What was that?" Okay. You don't have to have any effect. You can have it occur silently as well. But even if they cross from their dimension into ours, do they have to become visible walking around in a space where we can visually see in our visible spectrum? No, they can travel and walk straight up to you, and you can hear them without visually seeing them.
Yes, and that's happened to me.
Also travel up to you in an orb form. Yes, that too seems to be possible. We don't understand the difference between them crossing from their dimension into ours in the form of an orb that then turns into a full-size person. That I can't explain to you very well. I don't know all the particulars. I just know what I have observed.
Yes.
But can you spot a Sasquatch see-through, where you can see it partially, but see through it, almost like you would describe a typical ghost? Yes, you can, because you're catching them right in that transformation from their dimension into ours. The two dimensions occupy the same space. But not necessarily the same time of day, nor the same season. So in other words, can it be summer and nighttime in their dimension, but winter and daytime in ours? Yeah. How does that work? I have no clue. We have multiple witnesses that indicate that. And so
that's awesome.
It makes you scratch your head a little bit. That's for sure.
And this is what's so exciting, because part of this being the first show of the year for us, and part of the acceleration in the light language and the acceleration in the light love offerings is for us to truly go beyond what we ever thought was possible or plausible, and to truly expand what we release, all that we know about time and space. Because as we're seeing, we're allowing ourselves to understand and interpret things that a year ago or 6 months ago or even a week ago seemed just unexplainable, in the way that I'm receiving information, gifting and receiving information back and forth through the energetic waves that we're co-creating and existing within, because the cosmic bedding that we're sitting within changes. And I have had these experiences in which I've been looking, or I've been walking about the sanctuary, or even on other people's property, and I'll have that immediate knowing to look in a certain direction, and I'll look there and I'll take a picture or an image, because the energy entanglement is so strong. It's like a friend saying, "Hi, I'm right here."
Right.
And I take that.
What it is.
Yeah, I take that picture, and then I see the outline, and And this has happened more often than not. And now that I'm excited about this entanglement and I'm putting my communications out there, I'm having much more magical things unfold, and our sacred play with one another in that sacred, because I intend the sacred elements when I'm out walking and I'm doing my toning and I'm creating those sacred moments with Gaia. So tell me, I want to switch this over to, we understand that these interdimensional beings and consciousness, and how we can have those interdimensional realities all taking place at the same time, where we're allowing our minds to expand in that way. But what is the role that each of us play with one another, and their love for Gaia and their stewardship, and how we can learn from this new offering of unity? And what's your take on that?
First of all, you have to remember they've been around as a nation, as a species, as nations a lot longer than we have. They've been hanging around this planet for at least 16 million years. All right, so it's been a long time. You have to go back to the beginning of the age of large mammals, before we evolved or have record of our advancement. They have continually let us know that they, for the most part, shun technology. They prefer the natural. They prefer to have everything clean, and they really are frustrated with the pollution and the poor treatment of the land and the ripping up of the forests. I mean, the Sasquatch people are very frustrated with the fact that just because they're bigger and full of hair, that all they do is stand in front of somebody and women and children scream and run away. And they're going, wait, we didn't do anything. All right. So they're very cautious around people now. That said, they're also very curious. They love children. Not to eat. They don't typically eat people. Okay. And I'm not going to say that human beings never have been injured by Sasquatch. I can't say that about any people. I can't say that Sasquatch have never been injured by human beings either. I just don't know that. But what I can tell you is they're fascinated with singing, music, children, toys. They can imitate just about any sound you want to name, from the roar of a snowmobile engine to a bird, to your voice. They're great imitators. They love to learn. They're extremely funny. They're full of teasing play. Instead of violence, the vast majority of their conflicts are solved through what would be close to counting coup, meaning I'm mad at you, so I go up and I tap you on the shoulder and let you know that I'm not scared of you, and then I run away. And so the back and forth between them to resolve conflicts can come to blows, but doesn't always. They're very, very spiritual folks. They have ceremony. They make sacred circles. They honor the four directions. They're not primitive people just learning to make fire.
Yes.
Really advanced.
And so our expansiveness into what I call Gaia speak, what I call the elemental consciousness, and the awareness and the intelligence in all things. There's consciousness in all things, and it's just a matter of the role that they're playing within the grander scheme of creation, and how and who they interact with. But there's design within it all. And so their role and their essence with us is for me, in my communication and my sensing with them, and the ones that I'm connected with, it's been a very for me, it's been symbiotic with the forest, because my love for the forest, they're showing themselves through that excitement and through that love. But I've also entangled that when I'm toning and when I'm doing what I'm excited in the forest and on the land, and I'm having that natural God communication in all things, I'm also opening up to their link with cetaceans and whales.
Correct.
And so is there anything that you can say on that?
I myself am very linked with cetaceans. I have not had explained to me the connection between the Sasquatch and the cetacean nations, except that they play similar roles in their stewardship.
Mm-hmm.
The cetaceans would be the stewards of the oceans. The Sasquatch would be the stewards of the forests and the land. And so that overlap and the ancientness of both peoples. Both peoples have come to a place where they have gone beyond the need for possessions.
Yes.
They have gone beyond the need for owning things.
Attachment, yes.
Yeah. And family, clan, history,
tribe
or everything. Connection to the world in which you live. For the cetaceans, it would be the water, the oceans. For the Sasquatch, big brothers and big sisters, it would be the land. But connection to and care for, so that the world in which you are leaving your great, 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 great grandchildren is better than the world that you live in now.
Yes, and we're going through such dynamic shifts, and we're going through such profound awakenings in which we will be coming into realization of the many things that have been mistruths or held from the human understanding. With our expanding consciousness and our awakening, we're bringing these various disclosures forward. But we always like to focus on how we spiral within expanding and loving all that we are, so that we can create greater awareness, greater choices, greater action, and co-creating with other sacred soul tribes that are also excited to get involved with the water, get involved with the land, and get involved with the children and the teaching and the bringing forward of new systems of communication in new ways, that we truly let go and release of all that was, so that we can allow ourselves to be in oneness and true balanced harmony with our planet, which has been a long time in the making.
Well, what our Zeta friends, what our Ponte friends tell us is that Earth humans currently are not yet at what they call advanced civilization level 0. We haven't got to 0 yet. In order to get to 0, we have to provide basically the food, shelter, clean water, clothing. We have to take care of our people. We have to take care of our own species, our own nation. All right. When we can say that we are caring consciously for everybody on the planet, then we will be considered for whether or not Earth receives advanced civilization level 0, and they feel like we're worthy to venture out into the rest of the stellar neighborhood.
Yes, and that's what we talked about for the last couple of shows, is our altruism and how we're shifting into, we've been working so very, diligently, in our own individual awakening paths, because it's been our healing that we've had to do, and those that have come forward to kind of clear the way. And it's been sometimes an arduous and exhausting journey, but it's been so unbelievably incredible because of what majesty unfolds, and going into a forest and seeing what we see sometimes, or what we experience sometimes, is the reality of what has always been just reaching out to us, because now we can see through the releases and through the veils that we've dropped and let go. So it's a continuation, it's an evolution of us continually looking within and self-loving within. As we do that, we reach out to our brothers and sisters and understand and have compassion for the path that they walk, because they're versions and they're mirrors and the reflections of all that we have co-created as a society through the many eons, and to gift love and compassion just as all of the angelic realms and all of the other realms and all of creation does for us.
If we can do nothing else, Joanne, but teach that these tall, large, wonderfully hairy, not fur, hair, hairy peoples have been here for a long time, and they have no desire to hurt us. They really want to be left alone to do their thing. But if there is interaction, they surely don't want it to be with guns.
Yes.
Okay? But what they do like is just like if you go visit anybody, if you went to a new person's house, you might take a gift, you might take food, You might take a plate of cookies.
Mm-hmm.
When you go visit their house, take them something. Take them
Yes.
some food. Take them a watermelon.
Mm-hmm.
Take them ham if you care to. They are carnivores,
Mm-hmm.
but what they do appreciate is art and
Mm-hmm.
music and song. And so don't be afraid to talk out loud to them. They will attempt to understand you. The minute you enter into the Sasquatch, Big Brother, Big Sister, their clan's territory,
Mm-hmm.
somebody's going to know that you've arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going to have their eye on you.
Mm-hmm.
And you might as well just, from the time you get out of your car in the parking lot or walk up the trail, just start projecting your intent to them.
Mm-hmm.
What are you there for? Why are you there? Why would you like to connect with them? Why are you talking to them? Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Tell them who you are. Introduce yourself and treat them like people.
Mm-hmm.
If you treat them like people, they will treat you the way that you're treating them.
And I also have, I've also sensed that there's, for me in my particular path anyways, that the connection with the Sasquatch and with their indigenous history is there are many understandings of Gaia medicine and Gaia healing, medicinal knowledge and wisdom. So is there anything that you can say about that and their wisdoms that we can learn and we can understand?
Well, all right. I have a true story. It's
Mm-hmm.
a telepathic Sasquatch story
Mm-hmm.
that involves herbalism.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a conference in Estes Park, Colorado. And where we stayed was a conference retreat center that was lovely. And we had a second floor room and a balcony faced east and was right next to the mountain. I mean, we were right there. It was sunset, and I went out onto the balcony and was just saying hello to the Sasquatch people out there because Kiwani Lapsaritis had just informed 350 new people that Sasquatch was telepathic. And so I was giving them the heads up and saying, by the way, if you hear some new voices trying to contact you, at least they're trying.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't expect to hear a response back. At the same time, my spouse, who was in our hotel room, the door was open, yelled out to me, Sue, have you eaten your seaweed yet? Because I have a low thyroid and I like to eat seaweed to help it because it has iodine.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he yelled that out to me, I was about to respond to him, and I hear this voice coming from the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
What's seaweed? And I turned toward the mountain, and I scanned the mountain. I couldn't see anybody,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd clearly heard the voice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just responded as if it was part of the conversation, and I said, seaweed is a plant that grows in the ocean, and I eat it. It acts as a medicine for me and keeps me in balance and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just very spontaneously said, do you have any plants that you use as a medicine?
Mm-hmm.
And a moment later, there was this giggle. It really was a giggle. I kid you not. And, oh, yes, chokeweed. And I'm well read in herbalism, and I know my plants, and I'm going chokeweed. I don't know what chokeweed except we used to have a plant that grew in pastures that if horses ate it, it gave them colic. And in Iowa, the local name was chokeweed.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, we cannot eat that. You and I cannot eat that.
Mm-hmm.
It's doubtful they could too. It'd make them ill. I wonder what they're talking about. And I said, the plant I know is chokeweed might not be the same one you're referring to. Can you show me a picture?
Mm-hmm.
And a moment later, I get, clear as a bell, an image in my head of an 8-foot-tall, fully mature marijuana plant.
Oh.
And she laughed and she said, it grows all over Colorado now. We pull it up by the roots. We throw it on our fires. Our kids settle down and go to bed easier. We digest our supper better. Our aches and pains go away, and then we start to laugh and sing. And she was serious. And I just started laughing. And my spouse said, "What are you laughing about?" And I said, "Have you ever, anywhere in your history," because he's in his 60s, "ever heard of marijuana being called chokeweed?" And he went, "No." Why? Because it was this question straight out of the blue.
Yeah.
And so I told him the story, and he started to laugh, and he said, "I have no idea, but stranger things." When I told this same story to Kwani Lapsaritis, he laughed, and he said, "Do you know that I was in Oklahoma on property where a lady Sasquatch had interacted with the owner of the property,
Mm-hmm.
and the lady of the property was having problems with migraines, and I was talking to the lady Sasquatch about the property owner's medical difficulties. And the next day at the gifting place, the gifting tree, they left the property owner a full size, what Kawani called a colo of
Mm-hmm.
marijuana, with the instructions from the lady Sasquatch for the property owner to make a tea and drink it. It would help her headaches. Those are the two stories I know about herbalism and Sasquatch. Both true.
Wow.
Stranger things.
That's too funny. Well, you know what? It's for me, my sensing with Sasquatch and with Gaia is that we'll be learning a lot more medicinal energies and communications. That's what I'm sensing with me when I'm out in the forest, and I get the telepathic communications from the myriad of beings that I'm interacting with, but also with the cetaceans and the whales. I'm sensing that it's a grid. It's a grid. Communion and relationship that they have, working with different energetic grids. The cetaceans working with the grids underneath the waters that I'm aware of, and also the communications back and forth with what's going on with the grids and assisting Gaia in that way. So that's what I'm sensing on that relationship, and it's just really exciting and beautiful to have an entanglement in which we can move forward and let go of all the preconceived notions or the old ideologies that we had about the big brother and big sister.
Mm-hmm. One thing that your listeners can do is, if they have any natural springs in the area where they live,
Mm-hmm.
and they wish a place that would be a likely spot to go interact with the elementals and or the Sasquatch nations, most positive spiritual energies will be the ones hanging around the springs, especially at sunset and beyond, and sunrise too. So if you wanted to go try and interact with somebody, that would be the place that I would suggest they start.
Yes, natural springs are used in many different ceremonies and interactions with the land.
Yes.
And so it's always a beautiful offering. And we have on our sanctuary, we leave little, we have little gift locations.
Yes.
And we play in that way with the different energies and just communicating with the trees and with the energies that are, whoever wants to entangle and dance with us, because we're very open and loving with our intent. And so we wanted to get to a question here. Samantha on Skype from Florida is asking, we have the skunk ape here in Florida, as they are, as well as Yeti, Bigfoot, and Sasquatch. Are they all from the same tribe, or are they just different species of Sasquatch?
When I asked the Ponte about it, they refer to them as different nations, almost like different subsets under the same family. So, for instance, if you had a cat family, you might have jaguars and lions and leopards and tigers. If you had an elephant family, you might have African elephants and Indian elephants. In this particular species, I suspect that you have different variations within the family. Now, what I do not know is, are they all able to interbreed? Are they that close genetically? I don't have the answers to that. I suspect at least some of them are. So I think that would be probably the closest distinction as far as I know now.
And what is your? I mean, this is just coming up as a general just a general question, because we're speaking about different species in which already exist upon Earth, that we can already create first contact with, that we can already create peaceable interaction and entanglement with, and it's already life that exists within our
right.
our nature and our forests. So they're wanting, I'm going in a direction in which all nature life, all aspects of wildlife, all aspects of Gaia's gifting and potentialities are here for us to entangle, to learn, to be gifted to and from in this co-creative relationship, that each and every one of us will come forward with our own unique excitements to explore and examine who we are within these sacred relationships, and bring forward once again the concepts and energies to create sacred play with them. And so we want to make that really as a poignant point of all our conversations, is that there's already life upon Earth that we are remembering and learning to create this altruistic vibration with, so that we can expand who we are into the cosmic and galactic families.
The star nations that visit our planet are watching very closely what we do to introduce ourselves to the Sasquatch peoples, because the way we treat them will be the way that our Star Nation friends, assume that we will treat anyone we meet in the galaxy. All right. So to make this the best that I know, I would say, see if we can encourage researchers and people here on our planet to begin the process of attempting to approach these new nations to learn about them.
Yes.
With an idea of, I want to come understand who you are and not denigrate you and say, what are you? I keep reminding our researcher friends to refer to them as people. He, she, they, them, not it. You know, grandmothers, grandfathers, cousins, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, come on. There's kids out there. They're not its. So
And this,
let's encourage people to change their idea. And that's the same thing that's true of star nations. I hear researchers referring to star nations as its. What? These guys have traveled, I don't know how far across the galaxy to come meet us, and you're calling them an it? Please give me a break. Please be nice. They're people. They might not look like us, but they're still people.
Yes. And that's beautiful that we can have this dialogue in the new beginning of a new year, as we truly look within who we are and how we've defined, our separateness, how we've defined ourselves as separate with any aspect of life on our planet, whether it be the plants that also have consciousness and awareness, and they're the elemental, the dimensions they exist within, assist us in the very fabric and foundation of our life. And it must be our perspective and our honor and our heart opening warmth that we understand they're a part of us, and we must look at things in a different way, a new way.
I agree with that. And the other thing I keep thinking of anytime I head out into the forest or have a conversation with somebody, I always try and remember to say thank you. They don't have to talk to us. They don't have to teach us. They don't have to interact with us at all if they don't want to. But they're making an effort. And you know what? I really appreciate that. I really do. And so just saying, hey, you know what? Thanks for the conversation. I really appreciate it, is a really good idea, no matter who you talk to, whether it's an elemental, the ghost of your great Aunt Matilda, or one of the big brothers.
Yes. And that helps allow us our own unique pathway to oneness, because it truly is how we look at ourselves in all things and all beings and all aspects of life. It's us.
It's us. We're them. They're us. We're all connected when you get right down to it.
Yes.
If you take away the physical shell, all our spirits are there. And you can't hardly tell one from the other.
That's
when
right.
they're in that form.
That's right.
So
We're all God's spark.
we've made this wonderful planet together. Let's not mess it up for everybody else. Let's do our part and take care of our own mess. And take care of our people as well as observe what our big brothers are doing, and what they're setting a really good example by leaving a place better than when they found it.
Untouched, yeah.
They're just...
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
Brilliant.
There was one thing I was going to tell you, and when you were talking about your land, they reminded me, and that is, please open up your eyes for their art. Okay, whether they've arranged sticks on the ground and formed glyphs or pictures, stacked rocks,
yes,
created a pattern, leaned tree branches up against one another, added different elements, but they're very artistic. And you know how an artist always likes somebody to comment about their work.
Yeah.
If you happen to come across their art, pretend that you think that they're right there because you don't know. Yeah. And just talk out loud to them and say, you know what? This is pretty cool.
That's lovely.
I'm going, hey, you really have some skill here. And see what kind of an interaction you get. Again, positive, polite, friendly interaction will likely get you a response much more than if you don't talk to them or refer to them as it's, or don't have a good intent when you come onto their property, or leave your candy wrappers on the trail behind you, or toss your beer cans aside. You're in their house. You're in their house.
Yeah, that's lovely because we...
Let go of the past and manifest the reality you desire. It's time to expand your consciousness and create a new enlightened transformational you by raising your vibrational frequency. We will talk about ETs, light ships, the ascending human, our ascending planet, visitations, and first conscious contact upon our new fifth dimensional Earth. Welcome to Universal Unity, New Earth Consciousness. It's time to activate a better you by embracing the white light of Source. Now your host and universal guide, Joanna L. Ross.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Joanna from Universal Unity and Universal Light Wisdom and Healing Centers. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Welcome to 2018. What an incredible, incredible energy that we are starting off with. And I thought some of our topics today, we have a beautiful special guest with us today, but we're going to talk about some of the Ascension energy updates because it's really important. Everybody that I've been connecting with, everything that I've been going through personally, it seems as if we've made a really big shift, and I wanted to talk about the shift. I wanted to talk about these energy updates, and what it feels like for me is truly an acceleration of love light. It feels like an acceleration of all that we're shifting within has really been kind of amped up for us to create greater refined choice. As we've said before, many of the cycles that we're being blessed and offered with are due to tremendous unconditional love from the divine heavenly councils and the divine heavenly orders, Mother, Father, God, for the advancement, for the evolution of the divine humankind. And so in all of these love light blessings, the light encodations that we're being gifted and that we're being offered in every moment is allowing us to dig deeper within and provide us with our own soul divine song, all that we are as divine heavenly beings, all that we are as universal multidimensional beings, and how we go about choosing moment for moment for moment a more refined way of living that truly suits our authentic soul song, our authentic God song. And I've really felt in my own personal path over the last month, just because it's also been the holidays as well, and it's always the busiest time of year for us as a family, because of all my kids' birthdays in that 40-day window, if you will, and Christmas and all of the events that go on at Christmas. So it really takes a lot of perseverance and a lot of dedication to truly ground within stillness and silence and create that centeredness. And so these energies for me have really felt like a profound acceleration. And I felt these similar accelerations in, I think it was March when we had that last grid adjustment, and the celestial and the crystalline grids were shifted into a new dimensional potential and opportunity for humanity to create within. And I feel those similar sensations of symptomologies. We talked about them in March, but I'll just to refresh your memory. The grid shifts and these profound energetic shifts, and the merging with your sacred tribe, the merging with your sacred monad, that being that sits upon the other side that is there to lift you up into those dimensional frequencies. They truly feel as if you're reinventing yourself anew. They truly feel as if you're asking within the deepest part of all that you are, as these layers upon layers get refined and recalibrated and redefined. Who am I? And it's felt more of this more recently than ever before, because we're reaching a point in which there really is no second guessing anymore about the path that we walk. And it truly is the depth of surety you have with oneself. And that came through to me this morning as I was preparing for the show, and I was entangling with my teams, and I was entangling with my higher self, because there's been so much, it feels as if there's been so much push and pull of energies and redefining who I am and what my excitements and my desires and purposes are, along with having that one toe in the water of the kind of old world energy, if you will, meaning that the obligations and the duties and the responsibilities that so many people are entrenched within, that treadmill life, if you will, but truly wanting to step forth in an undefinable arena. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The acceleration of love light allows us to truly open up within all that we are and surrender into the undefinable arena. For we don't know what's around the corner. We don't know what's in the next moment. But we can allow ourselves a sense of faith, a sense of inner trust and unconditional love that all is well, and that we are here where we are. We've allowed ourselves enough skills in the myriad of earthly lifetimes, all occurring right here, right now, for us to be at this point of self-awareness